Over to Anupama.
Great. Thanks, Mani. Hope everyone can hear me.
Yep, I can.
Great, thank you. So what I'll do is I'll just share my screen. Can you make me as a presenter, Harry? Great, thank you. Sure. Great, can you see my screen? Okay, great. So let me kickstart with my session because I know the timings. It's half an hour, isn't it? Great. So today, first of all, Mani, thanks for that initiative because it just really gives me, coming from Wellington, New Zealand, a good visibility of what people are doing in terms of community activities, and it's really interesting. So I'll go and browse through that website and also find more details about that. Okay, let me jump
much
into.
Appreciate.
Yeah.
Sorry, one more thing. So I try to complete a bit early so that I can give you more time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So you have 40 minutes anyway.
40 minutes. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think it was a great session by Mani, which he talked about the Power BI reports over administration, but my session is going to be more around the introduction to Power Trio tools. Mani mentioned about Flow and Power Apps when we were navigating through that Power BI user group website. So now Flow and Power Apps along with Power BI has become a powerful combination of tools that every business user can use, and they can get benefits out of that without writing lines and lines of codes. And let us go and look at it. Like in my session, I'll be presenting a demonstration towards the end of the session, which was more around how do we build a business application without writing a single line of code, but pretty much using all these three tools like Power BI, Flow, and Power Apps. So without much delay, I'll just get into a slide a little bit about myself. So I'm Anupama Natarajan, and I'm living in Wellington, New Zealand currently, but I was born and brought up in Chennai in India. And it was so nice to meet Mani and Hari last year at the Data Platform Summit, because I always thought about like, okay, what's happening back in my hometown? And it was so interesting to hear that they have been running a Chennai user group here. And I was really keen to talk in the user group since last year, but here you go, the opportunity has arrived now. And I've been recently awarded as Microsoft MVP for Data Platform yearly this year for the community activities I've been doing back in Wellington, New Zealand. And I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer and a speaker, of course, a blogger. So currently I'm doing a bit of consulting work with Microsoft to one of their clients back in New Zealand. So I have nearly around 15 plus years of experience, pretty much in Microsoft technologies. I'm really passionate about data integration and BI. So when it comes to data, it's not about just holding the data. It's more about what are the different ways that we can expose the data. And integration is because like APIs has become another gateway of exposing the data within an organization. And I'm really passionate about that. So any mechanism, doesn't matter whether it's an API or whether it's a Power BI report or is it an Excel spreadsheet, anything that helps to expose data and so that the business users can get value out of that, then I'm more passionate about going and exploring and learning through that. So one of my recent presentation at the Data Platform Summit is around bots. And the reason why I wanted to get down into bots is exactly for the same way. How can I expose the data through a bot also? Just after this session, if you need to reach to me for any questions, feel free to reach to me through my LinkedIn or my blog or through my Twitter handle. Or as Mani mentioned, like you can also jump onto the Power BI user group or discussions area, post your questions, and I'll be able to respond to your questions. Great. So as I mentioned, with the three tools like Power Apps, Power BI, and Microsoft Flow, like application development has got much more easier. So we will be delving into each of these tools individually to understand what are the features that these tools provide. And when I say application development has got easier, you can really understand like, okay, what are the benefits you get out of these tools and why application development has got easier because of these tools. So the agenda of this session is going to go as a bit of introduction around the business application platform. We will be delving around what is Microsoft Flow and what are the features that it provides. Then we will be getting into the next tool, which is Power Apps. So Power Apps basically allows you to build a web application or mobile application just using drag and drop wizards, as I said, without writing much of code. Power BI, as you know, it's a great visualization tool. And how can you use Power BI in conjunction with Flow and Power Apps? And finally, how you can get the value out of the data that is stored in some of these applications through a Power BI dashboard. Finally, we will also touch upon a couple of things, which is the common data model and common data service for apps. Just keep that in mind when I go through the slides, and I'll just explain what they are and how they fit into the Power Trio tools. And finally, we'll be looking at a demo of a simple demo that explains like how these things can add value and can be extremely powerful to build modern business applications. Great. So as I said, the business application platform. So today's businesses, they want applications to be developed much quicker, because as you know, like every business is running behind their competitors. So they want to be more competitive against their competitors. In order to do that, if they have an idea and if they think that is going to add value for their customers, then they have to start building that immediately and expose it into the market. And in order to do that, they can't sit down and spend a year for a software development project and develop an application. Gone past are those days. So here they have to react immediately. And that's where these Power Trio tools like Power BI, Power Apps, and Microsoft Flow, that will help businesses to like develop their applications in a faster manner. So as you can see in the diagram, like Power BI, it's all about measuring, and Power Apps is all about like acting upon, and Microsoft Flow is more around automating things. So we will delve into individual tools subsequently. So the first tool we are looking at here is around Microsoft Flow. So Microsoft Flow is nothing but a cloud service, and basically it is used in order to build automated workflows. So when I say automated workflows, basically like you may get some information like an email, and immediately it needs to be passed on to someone, or immediately it needs to be added into your CRM or some other tool. So rather than doing that manually, now you can create a flow, which is pretty much like a workflow, where you can say my source is an email. That email can be coming from an SMTP server, or it can be coming from Gmail, or it can be coming from your Outlook.com or something. So that can be your source, and automatically the destination you can say like put it into my CRM attachments. So this one, previously if we have to do this functionality, I have to go and write a code. First thing is I need to know like, okay, I have to go and open an Outlook.com mailbox, or I need to know how to open a Gmail mailbox, or if I have an SMTP Exchange mailbox or something, I need to know how to open that. So there is a lot of integration I need to understand and do that. But what Microsoft Flow is actually is helping you with that is all these things are pre-built there. So here you can start as a template. You can choose your source as well as you can choose your destination using your graphical user interface. You don't need to write cut code or anything. Rather than you just choose your source and the destination, provide some configuration details saying what is the mailbox, what is the username and password. And similarly, if your destination is going to be a CRM or something, you can pretty much say like, okay, this is my CRM URL, this is the credentials, and automatically the flow will be created and it can be executed. So modern businesses need a lot of these things. And I think that's where it is really helpful using Microsoft Flow. On a personal use case, I write blog posts on a regular basis. One of the things I find it interesting is when I write about my blog post, I want to immediately post it on Twitter. I want to post it on LinkedIn as well as on Facebook for other people to know about my blog post. Previously, what I used to do is I write my blog post, jump onto Facebook, and then put an entry there, then jump onto LinkedIn, put an entry there about my blog post, and then do the same thing in Twitter. But since Flow has come on board, what I basically have done is I have created saying like whenever there is a new item in my RSS newsfeed, basically immediately what you do is the first thing is it will start post it into my Twitter, sorry, and then it posts into my Facebook, and then it automatically posts into my LinkedIn. So I created a simple workflow in that manner, and automatically whenever I write the blog post now, I don't need to worry about any of these channels because automatically the messages get posted. This is just a simple personal use case, but it is really a powerful one because now no longer I'm wasting time doing that. But if you consider this for your business use cases, like on a day-to-day basis, a lot of problems is happening because like you have to integrate with the n number of disparate systems. And in order to do that, pretty much you are dependent on your IT department or the IT developers to cut the code in order to have this integration happening. But with Flow, you don't need to worry about this integration any longer. You need to just go to the cloud service and connect the sources and destinations, and automatically the workflow will start to happen. The key thing about Flow is also, it is not only supporting the software as a service data sources, it also supports your on-premises. Your source can be an on-premises or a software as a service cloud service, or your destination can be vice versa. Like it can also be on-premise as well as a software as a service destination. So I would really recommend go and try Flow, even for simple personal use cases. Then you can understand how powerful it is to execute it for your business use cases. So a simple flow will similarly look like this. So as I said, like some of the building blocks within a flow is services. Services are pretty much define your sources and the destination of data within your flow. Trigger is basically the event that initiates the flow. Actions or what are the different tasks that gets accomplished through the flow. And of course, you can have conditions and looping also. Suppose if you have n number of messages and you have to go through and add each and every message or each and every file into your CRM, you should be able to do that. So here the example I'm giving as a destination as a CRM, but the destination can be anything. It can be even like a Google Drive, or it can be just your Microsoft Drive folders or anything. So it can be anything as your destination. And there is a lot of templates, pre-built templates that are available that you can utilize rather than instead of a lot of the templates you can use instead of hand coding some of these things, or you can start with a blank template and automatically you can build your sources and destinations accordingly. So here is just a quick set of use cases other than the one I was mentioning. For instance, like if you take an example, Richard wants to keep his team up to date about new opportunities coming in Dynamics, but manually informing all of his team members is a hassle. So here you go, like he immediately publishes it through Yammer. So this can be automated, like whenever there is a new opportunity in Dynamics, automatically you can publicize to any of your collaboration platforms like Yammer or Microsoft Teams or etc. The second example is like a use case is like an approval workflow. So Stan needs his comic book covers to be reviewed by legal and sales communications, proofreading, and the executive editor. But understanding the state of all these approvals is hard to keep track of. And here you go, like as soon as you have your SharePoint and email, you can integrate them through a simple flow and send it through a SharePoint approval, and automatically the email gets triggered to the corresponding people for approval. The last use case is around collecting the data. So part of Bob's department uses Salesforce to track leads, but another part also uses Dynamics. But she wants to manage and visualize the data together. But currently she can't do that. But with the flow, what she can do is, as soon as the information from Salesforce is coming, as well as from Dynamics, they can merge together and publish it through a Power BI dashboard, all through creating a single flow, rather than cutting code or writing integration. So those are some of the example use cases that gives you a bit of detail about how you can use flow for some of these use cases, which is not only for your personal use cases, but also some realistic business use cases. The second tool we are looking at here is around Power Apps. So Power Apps are nothing but, again, a cloud service that facilitates in building applications in a rapid pace. So we have a lot of applications that we have built using rapid application development. There were a lot of tools Microsoft have provided. Power Apps is one of the tools, but this is on the cloud. So here you can build web and mobile applications without writing single line of code. So this is the easy way you can share applications with others within your organization. So some of the key components of Power Apps are basically the web.powerapps.com. So here is where you can go and actually create your Power Apps, and actually you can publicize it. Then you have got something called as Power App Studio. So you can build modern, powerful web applications through Power App Studio. So here you can design the screens. You can just apply the events to your screens, like a button click, or like if you want to just to do hyperlinks or anything, everything can be done through the Power App Studio. And finally, you have also got Power Apps Mobile. So this will allow the Power Apps application that you have created to run on Windows, iOS, and Android devices. So if you haven't tried through, let's just jump on to your App Store or somewhere and try and download Power Apps. As well as one thing I forgot to mention when I had the Flow slides, you can also download Flow as in through your App Store, and you can create workflows through your mobile phone also. It's quite easy in order to create a flow through your mobile phone. Then you have something called as Power Apps Admin Center. Whenever you are creating applications or when you are designing screens, sometimes like you need to provide privileges only of certain people can do only certain tasks, and that's where the Power Apps Admin Center come into play. So basically what it allows you to do is, as an administrator, you can create environments. Like if you want to have a UAT environment or a dev environment or a test environment, of course you can create them as environments, and then you can publish your Power Apps application within that environment, and it is specifically permissioned only for certain users within the environment. So all those security related things can be administered through the Power Apps Admin Center. So the last but not the least is around the common data service for apps. One of the common challenge a lot of organizations have is data is sitting in disparate data sources. Like I may have a CRM which is capturing some of the customer information. I may have a separate retail system which is also capturing customers. And trying to merge these customers, or if I want to build a report or something, I have to pull the data from these two sources, and then I have to expose it. A lot of applications I have seen that have been built is like, okay, they have an integration coming from the CRM as well as they have an integration coming from the another app. So there is a lot of like a single point of failures and a lot of connections, which I'll show you shortly through a diagram, like how cumbersome it can be. But common data service is basically coming there in order to address that issue. So I'm not going to delve too much into Power BI in this session, because I think given it's a Power BI user group and you have been having a lot of sessions around Power BI, so hopefully everyone knows what Power BI can do. It's more around like a visualization tool. And as you can see, the power of Power BI is more around how good and interactive a visualization can be, and how it will help people to drill down in order to find the answers for their questions. And I think with the recent Q&A integration, even with simple tool like Power BI Desktop, a lot of people can ask their questions in plain English and they can get their answers. So Power BI is becoming a much more powerful tool within the Microsoft BI stack, as one of the preferred tool by a lot of business users within across the world, basically. And also with features like the custom themes and custom visuals, like it is taking visualization to the next level. So if you can't find any out-of-the-box visualizations, always there is a lot of custom visuals available through the gallery, which you can utilize, or if not, you can build your own custom visuals and publish it through the gallery, which other people can share. So we have seen about Flow, we have seen like what Power Apps can do, and also we saw like about Power BI, which is around a great visualization tool. But what we have to yet to see is the problem that I was talking about, which is data sitting in disparate data sources. How do we try and bring them together in order to solve that problem of having multiple integrations across different data sources? One of the way Microsoft have addressed solving that problem is through having a common data model. Sorry. So you can have a CRM holding customer data. It may have a customer entity with a list of all the attributes related to the customer inside CRM. And also you can have a custom built app, and that may a retail app or something, and that may also collect customer information, and that may have some specific attributes related to the customer. At any point in time, not all the attributes in the CRM is going to be available in the retail customer entity and vice versa. But what CDM allows you to do is you can define a customer schema that is applicable to your organization with a list of all the attributes, irrespective of whether that attribute is coming from a CRM or it is coming from your retail application. So this is a single entity inside your common data model that tells this is my customer entity for my organization, and these are all the attributes that are going to be available for a customer within my organization. So similarly, any entities like that, like instead of pointing to disparate data sources, you can build your common data model for your organization, and then pretty much you can build apps or Power BI reports in order to hooking into your common data model. So what it is going to eliminate is basically all these stovepipes of applications linking to individual databases. So we saw about common data model and what is the common data service for apps. Once you define the common data model, then probably all these applications need to pump the data into your common data service, which is what your applications are pretty much going to use. So basically, common data service for apps is to store and manage the data used by the business applications. So the data will be stored in the common data service for apps as a set of entities, and any Power Apps that you are building will be utilizing the data within the common data service in order to expose the data and to manipulate the data. So we will be looking at that quite quickly in a small demo. Just keep in mind, common data model is basically defining your data model for your organization, where you pull through those entities that are sitting in disparate systems and coming up with a logical schema saying, okay, this is what a customer entity within my organization will look like. While common data service for apps is basically pumping the data that is required for the entity so that it can be exposed for any Power Apps or Power BI reports to consume the data coming out of these entities. So this is the slide which I wanted to point to you guys around. It's around the focal point of the data. So as I said, without CDS, the problem what you will be having is your application will be connecting to Office 365 separately, Azure Active Directory separately, Dynamics 365 Sales separately, the Ops separately, or any other custom applications that you have got in an organization. Thus, you can see the number of integrations that your application needs to do in order to bring the data is going to be really cumbersome and tedious. But with CDS, what it is doing is all the applications are going to pump the data inside your common data service, and the common data service is basically going to be exposed to your application. So from your application, the only point of contact is going to be the common data service, and your application doesn't need to know how the data is arriving to common data service. So as you can see here, how clean the architecture here versus comparing to the architecture here. So this is just a single app trying to get the data out of all these systems. But if you look at a lot of legacy applications and the current enterprises, like I currently work in a program of work, and they showed me like the amount of integrations their applications are having, which is like going on a A3 sheet, and they have put it on a wall. And I was just looking, God, like if I have to take this all these applications and migrate it to a new platform like Dynamics, how hard and tedious it is going to be. But if you start building any greenfield applications, start thinking about using CDS as your integration point, because then it eliminates like your application making integrations to the disparate data sources. Instead, it will be connecting to a single data source, which is your common data service for apps. Great. So it's our demo time. So what I want to do is to take a simple use case and probably just to show to you how can you use the modern tools like Flow, Power Apps, and Power BI along with the common data model as well as the common data service to fulfill that. Again, I haven't written a single line of code to do that. It's all about integrating the different technologies that Microsoft have already provided. So this example was done when I was working for a power company. So the power company actually has got outage information published on the website. So in New Zealand, what happens is whenever there is a power outage, or it can be either planned outage or unplanned outage, the outages will be listed in a website. And so from this website, we need to just get the information, and it has to be displayed into our trading desk. The trading desk is nothing but people sitting in front of their online, like in front of their PCs, doing 24/7 trading online. So the trading, what they were doing is more around buying and selling power. So they need to know, like, okay, every half hour there will be prices fluctuating in the market, and based on how much power they have got, they can decide on whether it's a good time to sell it or is it a good time to buy it from another retailer. In order to do that, like, they also need to know about the outages information during trading, because what happens is if they have surplus power, but if they know like there is going to be an outage in that particular area for next 2 days, probably it is not a wise time for them to sell the power, because if they sell the power at that time, and if they are running out of power, they have to purchase it for higher price. So that's why outages information are critical for the trading desk. But unfortunately, this information is published on a website, and there is no API or anything that is available in order to pull this information out of that website. So they have to jump onto that website and look for this information. So what we have done is like a simple demonstration of how can we pull the outages data from the website into a simple Excel spreadsheet, because they have to do some manipulations in Power Query, and they did that, and probably the Excel spreadsheet is persisted in a Microsoft OneDrive. And what we have done is we have defined a common data model, like we created an entity called as outages, and which in turn uses Flow to pump the data from the Excel spreadsheet stored in OneDrive into the common data service. And pretty much after that, my Power Apps is utilizing, I built a Power App, which is basically a UI that presents the outages information. And we are using Flow in order to push that outages information to Microsoft Teams, as well as like from Power Apps, we are also hooking it into Power BI. So this is just a simple use case. As you can see here, this architecture involves just hooking up the technologies together rather than cutting code. So let me quickly jump through. First thing is what I'm showing here is Microsoft Flow. So as you can see here, this is the flow.microsoft.com, and I have just logged in with my credentials. As I have told here, like you have got a series of templates that are available that you can use, and if not, you can start creating your own one. So here is my template. So here it says like, okay, start approval when a new item is added to SharePoint. So if you want to use this, you can do this, or this is a simple one. So whenever there is an update coming to the Flow blog, I want to get notifications. As you can see here, you need to click on this. Sorry, and it has just got the RSS, add a new connect. Great, it just connected it and it gets a new notification. Let me create my flow here. So this is one of the template that I am using, but I think similar to that particular template. So here I have got two connections. It has automatically created. So whenever there is a RSS newsfeed, an email will be sent to me as a notification. So similarly, you can have all the other options as I have shown here. The lot of predefined templates are available. So you can also jump onto the templates and you can get a list of templates, and it is all classified under the different things. So if you need as a data collection, you can see like what are the pre-built templates that are available. And of course, if none of the templates are going to meet your needs, you can also create your own flow of, so you can just pull through different sources and destination and you can create ones. So that's what here it is. You can create a flow from a template or you can create it from blank. So one of the important thing people just are more interested to know is if I'm using flow, what is the pricing model? So as you can see here, up to 750 runs per month, it is free, and the checks that can be done is 15-minute checks. So flow is free only for that particular reason. And when you want to go more than that, like 750 runs per month, then you have to jump into the flow plan one, which is around $5 per month. And to be honest, for the amount of the power that you get out of flow, when I look at this dollar amount, this is negligible. If you think about trying to write the integrations across different systems, that will cost immediately, that will justify the cost that you're spending here. Great. So we have checked these two. The next thing I wanted to quickly show is around Power Apps. So this is just a simple demo which I did back at DPS, which is the Data Platform Summit last year. So as I said, it's a Power App, Power outages that I have built here. So one of the things you can see in Power Apps, it has got pre-integrated thing for flow. So if I jump into flow, I can create business logic using flows within my Power Apps environment itself. So as I said in my screenshot, like when I showed the demonstration, I am pulling outages data to my CDM. And in order to do the outages data, it is just getting it from my Excel spreadsheet. So if you want to quickly show you my Excel spreadsheet, this is the Power outages spreadsheet I have got. So this one actually pulls the data from a website URL, and using Power Query, we are doing some cleansing of the data. And this is just the outages information that comes from that website. So as you can see here, it will give me all the information about the outage. And some things may not make sense for you guys, but I think these are the different power companies that we have in New Zealand. And these are all the different outages block, which really makes sense for the people who are sitting in the trader's desk, because they know what is this outage block means to them. So this is just a file Excel spreadsheet that is sitting on my OneDrive, and that gets pulled over through periodically through my common data service for apps. So this common data service, which has got all the entities for my outages that has been defined. So if I go here, great. Some of the things that you can create with the common data model is you can define your entities and you can define the data type for your entities. And also you can decide on whether it is a pick list or if it is a pick list or a selection list, you can also provide those values. I think it is just taking its time. Great. So as you can see, I didn't create all these things. These are some of the standard ones that is coming out of the box. So if I can see. So here it is, the Power outages one which I created. So this is a custom entity which I created because the data set I'm dealing with, I couldn't see a valid data set that I can use with the out-of-the-box entities. But if you're looking for entities like customer account, you can pretty much try and look at the out-of-the-box entities and you can customize it rather than creating your custom one. So here I have defined the data types for the data that I need. And as I said, like now I have hooked up with my spreadsheet through Flow in order to import that data into my CDM. So now the common data service has got all the data, and what I need to do now is to quickly build an app that shows the information that is coming from my outages data. So quickly I'll just go to my home. So just start running my app. So this is just running it as a web application. So I have quickly created this app, hooked up the CD common data service for each and every entity. I have just replaced it. I have created a first screen is basically listing all the outages in this screen and a simple search. So basically once the data comes through, all the outages data comes through my common data service for applications, then I can easily say like, okay, show me, I can use any of these columns. Give me only the confirmed outages. So it will automatically search and gives me only the confirm. Here I have mistyped it. If I put it as confirmed, then I will get the right one. So as you can see, or if I'm more interested in only trans-power outages, not other power companies, this is, so I didn't do anything in order to do this. It's all drag and drop and hooking up with my entities within the common data model. And then automatically, if I want to just to go and look at the details for any particular outage, I can easily do that. If I want to delete this record, of course, it can be deleted. And if I want to edit the record, I can edit this also. So what it is trying to explain to you is how quickly you can just understand your use case, jump onto Power Apps, find where the source data is coming, if not, create a flow for that, and then immediately create a Power App application. This can be accessed via the web as well as it can be accessed via the mobile. So this is the key demonstration which I really wanted to show today, is around how easy it is to use tools like Flow and Power Apps. And of course, now you can use, if you look at Power BI, you can now hook up your common data model, which is currently, I think it's still in beta, and you can just actually create a Power BI report. So same outages data, I can use my common data service for apps as the one of the data source within Power BI, and I can build a dashboard of all the outages information there. And also now Microsoft started integrating Power Apps within Power BI. And that is really a classic thing, because when I was working with a power company, one of the things they always asked for, as soon as I update in power outage information, I want to see my dashboard refreshed automatically, side by side. So they don't want to go and jump into a URL and want to see that. So with the integration of Power Apps with Power BI, within Power BI report, I can update my Power Apps record, like a particular outage record within Power Apps, and automatically my dashboard in Power BI will reflect that. So now you can understand how powerful these tools can be, and how you can pretty much utilize this in order to build modern business applications without writing a single line of code. Just jumping back onto my slides. So pretty much this is the use case that I wanted to show. So if you have any use cases like this, like start simple, like using Flow for your personal projects or something, and get familiarized to how you can use it. And similarly with Power Apps also, start something simple. It doesn't need to be a complex business use case or anything. Even if your business have got like, okay, I'm maintaining something in a spreadsheet, you can quickly build a UI, including a web UI as well as the mobile UI over that spreadsheet for them. Put the spreadsheet on OneDrive, hook it up with a common data service for apps, and then put a Power App application over there. Then pretty much you are giving them a mobile friendly or a web friendly application that they can maintain that spreadsheet quite easily. So start something simple and leverage the features of that, and then think about like your complex business use cases and how can you model something with integrating these tools together. So just if you have any questions, feel free to ask me now or post it on the Power BI user group discussions forum. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to present about the Power Trio tools today. And thanks, Hari, and thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Thanks so much, Anupama. It was really a very good one. Thanks for finding some time for us today to do a demo. It's going to be very easy for people to start doing their flows.